The views expressed in this program do not necessarily reflect those of this station.
Welcome to Insights into Northeast Michigan, a WBKB News public affairs program. Insights deals with the issues affecting those in the community as well as Northeast Michigan and the state. And now, Insights into Northeast Michigan.
Welcome to another Insights. I am Lauren Mixon. I'm here with the Superintendent of Alpena Public Schools, Dr. John Van Wagner. How are you doing today?
I'm well. Thanks for having me today.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. So we know earlier this year there was a bond proposal out for Alpena Public Schools that did not pass, but there have been a few changes since then. And we're going to talk about the budget for this year, as well as some things we can expect moving forward. So let's go ahead and jump right in and get started with the budget that was just recently passed October 1st, what that entails and how it will impact the schools and the kids this school year.
So we had a really unique situation this year that normally we have an idea of what kind of money we have going into the new fiscal year in May and June. We have to have an approved balanced budget by July 1st. The state's fiscal year doesn't start until October 1st. And so normally with when Governor Snyder was in party in the governor's office and the Republicans held majority in the Senate and the House, they were able to get the budget done. But this year with a Democratic governor, a split a Republican legislature, there was some real debate and conversation going on. And unfortunately, they weren't able to get to some real resolutions. And what was agreed on just before the wee hours of October 1st, the governor actually vetoed about $138 million of money out of the school aid fund. And unfortunately, one of those categoricals that we get is for being an isolated district because we only have a few kids per square mile. And so we were the #1 district that got money in that categorical, and it was completely cut. So that really affected us. Fortunately, we were able to get an increase of $220 per student. We had budgeted, that into our budget for this year, but that categorical of losing that funding that the governor had vetoed, as well as in the original budget, there was $100 per student that took career and tech ed. That got reduced to $50 with a district that does a lot of career and technical education of trying to prepare kids for the future and a lot of trades. That really affected our budget. So unfortunately, we don't have a lot of extra money right now. We have a bus, a 2002, on the road that's breaking down just about every other day. Our mechanics are doing everything they can to keep it on the road, but it's caused kids to be late for school and to get home real late because it's broken down and trying to find another bus that they can get on. So really, we're still in a real financial strain, and a lot of people don't realize as Alpena Public Schools, we get the lowest amount that any districts get in the state of Michigan. We get the base foundation, and with our cost of transportation, we don't get $1 more for transportation than a district that's only 2 square miles. We're 604 square miles. So that really puts a strain on our budget and doesn't allow us to do some things such as facility upgrades with boilers and roofs and those kind of things. Anything we're able to do is only based on donated funds that we get from foundations or members of the community to be able to do things. And a lot of times they're very specific on what they want those things to go to. And unfortunately, we don't have anybody coming to us to fix boilers and roofs and electrical panels and some of those basic things we need.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know we're in a very vital part of the year as well. Winter is right around the corner. And you walked me through last year and you showed me the boilers and how some areas of the schools were cooler than others. Have you been seeing any impact like that taking place this year so far? We
will begin to start firing up the boilers here as it's starting to get colder in buildings. And we know that there will be repairs and things to just try and basically, some of them, are in great shape. But for the most part, most of them are past their life expectancy. Some are way past their life expectancy, such as the high school and Ella White. But we'll do everything we can to try and piece them together. But fortunately, we don't have days, fortunately, we're hopeful that we don't have days where we have to, have situations of no school because the boilers just won't fire up or the pipes are leaking so bad. And so we're going to do the best we can, as frugal as we can with what we have, but we're getting in a couple of them of critical points, whether we're able to have school on certain days or not, depending on if that thing's reliable enough to fire up or be dependable.
Right, and I can say from personal experience that that was definitely a challenge, and I'm always cold, so having those boilers acting up definitely is a problem. But let's move on to security, because that was also something that we talked about earlier in the year ahead of the bond proposal. There are security concerns, particularly at the high school with all the glass windows, the location of the office, things of that nature. How is that being affected now that the bond proposal hasn't passed and with the budget now?
You know, unfortunately, you know, at the secondary level, we haven't been able to do very much at all. Again, we don't have dollars to buy a bus. You know, we were able to buy one bus this year. We really need to be able to buy four to be able to keep it, you know, where we don't have buses that are unreliable on the road. So we weren't able to do anything that all this summer with security. With that, we were fortunate enough we write grants and ask for money everywhere we can. And we were fortunate to get a Michigan State Police grant for our elementary buildings, that we were able to put secure locks on all the doors, digital locks, so we're able to get rid of keys for the most part. It tells us who's coming in the building, and along with our buzzer system. It also gave us a system, and it paid for the Raptor system to be able to check and see if registered sex offenders are trying to come in our buildings by using the driver's license. We require everybody that comes in that building during a school day to, you know, if they're going to go into a classroom or down a hall outside the office, they have to use a state ID or a driver's license to check to see if they're on the registered sex offender list. So that's, you know, some upgrades we were able to make, but only through grants. And again, we're always looking for dollars that people may have an interest in donating. So if there is anybody out there that's looking to donate to try and maybe help us to be able to build a new office or put secure locks on, or, you know, a secure vestibule on any building, we're always open to any donations that we can get for that.
Mm-hmm. I think looking at this, it's becoming more evident that this is really affecting all of the students, not just one group in particular. And what brings me to that conclusion is just all the things we've hit so far, but I also know athletics. That was impacted this year. There were some things happening with the athletics at the high school and things of that nature, that there was a challenge to get some of those things up and running. What was that?
It is, and you know, we always, our facilities and things aren't, you know, always up to speed, and having staffing coaches are sometimes hard to find. Again, we're not able to pay very much at all. You know, and a lot of people do that just out of the kindness of their heart and want to see kids succeed, and the pay is, you know, below minimum wage by far for the hours they put in. But we were fortunate with athletics that we had some people that had some very specific donations that they wanted to give, and they were specifically towards athletics. A lot of people always question, well, why do you do that when you need a roof or a boiler? And so, but we did have some people that came and wanted specifically to donate towards a new football field, and we had advertisers that were willing across the community, businesses, to put their logo on the gym floor, to redo the gym floor, to pay for that in full. So across both of those projects, there wasn't a single district dollar that was used, and it was straight donations. But again, those donations, the people that gave that money specifically wanted it only to go towards those athletic opportunities and those fields and facilities. So we were able to do that. We were able to do them under budget. They turned out great from that standpoint. So we're hoping to be able to fix a couple more things with athletics. But again, you know, we would take any donations for the arts or music, or for a boiler, a roof, you know, anything that anybody wants to give, $1, you know, no amount's too big, no amount too small to help us to do that, because we do not get anything from the state to help us with our facilities. The state has flat said that that's not the state's responsibility, that that's the responsibility of the local taxpayers in the community. So we're using the dollars they give us per pupil to be able to run operations, to be able to, you know, put buses on the road, to, you know, pay teachers, to pay support staff. And at this point, you know, we're doing the best we can, and we're continuing to patch roofs and fix boilers and do those things that we can do.
Absolutely. Well, definitely it's impacting all of the students. But we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to pick back up and talk about some more of the topics at hand when we come back. Welcome back to another Insights. I'm Lauren Mixon, and I am here with Dr. John Van Wagner. And we already talked about some of the things impacting Alpena Public Schools as far as the budget, but we're going to go ahead and pick back up on some of those things. In the last segment, we talked about some of the grants and some of the donations that came to the school that were able to fix some of the problems that the district was seeing. Let's talk about some of those grants and how they were used.
So, we are fortunate that we get a lot of grants. We write a lot for any opportunity that comes across that fits what our kids need. So, career and technical education, we've been very fortunate to receive a lot of grants in, and a lot of school districts don't do skilled trades type things anymore. And in Alpena, we really feel that's important still. So we have a lot of kids that are doing things in welding and construction trades and the healthcare field. Marketing, just lots of different programs, and so auto program, and we just feel those are very important because we need those type of people. They're really hard to get tradespeople right now, so we think that's a great paying wage for kids to be able to do. So over the past year, we've received about $3 million in career and technical education grants to upgrade our equipment and our tools and those kind of things. So that's been good. But then we also get donations from people around the community that'll donate even $25 and $50 towards, we have kids that are homeless. We have kids that really have basic needs, hygiene products that people will donate. We have people that'll donate specific things for classroom supplies in elementary schools or backpacks. We just had a great group that led an initiative for the beginning of the year, so every kid in the school would have a backpack to start the school year. So we get a lot of unsung heroes that donate towards those kind of things, and we even had, when our sewer pipe was bad, we had a couple individuals donate $20 and another one $300 to help us. And while that didn't get to the scope of the large amount, the thousands and thousands of dollars that cost, we'll take every penny and every dollar that anybody is willing to, and our board always makes sure we announce at our board meetings and that we send a letter to them letting them know how much we just are thankful for their donation. Because every dollar, we try and stretch it to make to $5, to make everything we can. So, those have been things. The community foundation we always get for a lot of our programs. We're able to, get some funds for kids to be able to do activities, across. Maybe it's a field trip, or maybe it's an opportunity for kids to be able to do a special art project. Whatever that is, we get a lot of support from our community, especially our businesses and our community foundations here in Alpena, to be able to do those things that go above and beyond that we can't supply to our kids. But many times they're very specific that they feel that they're going to give money, but they don't do it towards things they think that the state or that the school district should already be getting funds for. Again, so like a lot of basic infrastructure needs and buses and boilers, roofs, those kind of things. We don't get really any donations for that because a lot of people or foundations feel that's something that the taxpayers are supporting, and that they want to do things that they feel are supplemental for the kids that the kids won't have an opportunity to have or do otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of that, let's move into, you all recently got a pretty big grant, and that was from the Besser Foundation. What are some of the things that grant covered?
So the Besser Foundation has really been great to work with, and we feel very fortunate. They've been a supporter for us the last couple of years of our robotics program. Again, that's something that we didn't have before and no funds to be able to start. And that's a very expensive program to run, to be able to have our kids compete and travel across the state. That includes hotel stays, and that includes food while they're on the road, all the equipment that they need to build the robot. They've been very, very helpful for that, and continued, again, a very sizable donation with that. And probably a big thing that is when I came to the district 3 years ago with technology, we were really far behind compared to other districts, even other of the local districts around us. That our ratio of electronic devices of a computer were about 8 students to 1 device, and most of those devices were really old, tired desktops. So now, through the help of the Besser Foundation and this grant in particular, we had $218,000 to buy Chromebooks, and so we are now able to have a device for every kid. Every elementary classroom now has a Chromebook cart that has access to that technology. At our junior high, 6 through 8 grades were 1-to-1. The kids actually have the ability to take that device home. At the high school, in our project-based learning programs, again, they're able to take those home, but then in the rest of the classrooms across the high school, there's available a device for every kid. So to be able to go from that 8-to-1 ratio to 1-to-1 ratio in 3 years, and really couldn't have done that, especially without this sizable donation from the Besser Foundation. They were really great. And then they also did help out a small amount on the football field renovations, football soccer field renovation. There was a lead grant actually from the Park Family Foundation that led that, and they were very specific about wanting that to go towards the field and that being redone so that more of the community and practices could use it. And it actually saves us money over the long term because we don't have to line it, we don't have to seed it, we don't have to mow it, we don't have to fertilize it, all those things. We spend probably about $25,000 a year on all those things, not including the labor of somebody doing that. So by having that all done already in that field the last 12 to 15 years, it actually can save us money in the long run. And we think it's going to get a lot more use from soccer. Now that we play soccer on it, we can have our youth soccer. They're going to be on it this coming week and be able to use it. So you know, the Besser Foundation was able to help a little bit in that as well and make it to where that all those projects were done without any money from the district at all. And again, we would love for people to support us with infrastructure type things, a bus. If anybody wants to donate a bus, you know, a bus is about $100,000. We'd love that, but we're very thankful for the Besser Foundation, the Community Foundation in Northeast Michigan, the Park Family Foundation, and again, all those people that just give us those $10 and $25 donations to help.
Now, with that Besser grant, and as well as other grants that the district receives, how do those typically come in? Are they spread out over time as far as when they're able to be utilized? How does the district manage that, and how do the funds come in?
And you know, so that's one thing you have to be very careful of, that you're not you're writing a grant for something that, you know, that you have to sustain over a long time and you don't have the money for. So we sometimes have to be selective of what we apply for, knowing, you know, sometimes it's just seed money to start something, but how do you keep it going, right, you know, when you don't have the additional funds? And so we're very specific about that. And generally the grants are a year-long grant, although the big grant that we received for Career Tech Ed is actually over a 3-year span. But most of the time the money has to be spent within a year, and we actually have to have the money up front from the district to spend, and then we get reimbursed. And so it's very specific that they know we use what we use. For instance, we're very fortunate to get support from the Alpena County Youth and Recreation Grant that supports a lot of things. But again, those are grants that we spend the money first, and then we submit to show the receipts that we did that, and then we get reimbursed for that. So we're very fortunate that Youth and Rec Grant and what that does for us. That's another big thing that, again, we would not be able to do many of the types of things in athletics, but also a lot of our other programs, Kaput, which, you know, sponsors a lot of events for our seniors. We wouldn't be able to do some of the art things in the community, Ready Set programs, you know, at the Aplex that they support, the Aplex and the foundation that runs that with. So, you know, it's all together, all those things are really good and help us. But, you know, they're all supplemental. They all allow us to do these things that kids otherwise wouldn't be able to do. You know, we're very fortunate in that. But again, while you see a lot of great things in there, we see, you know, almost duct tape on pipes and cold buildings and buckets picking up water. So, you know, it's kind of hard. People see these things over here that these folks that donate do great with. But at the other part, you know, we just don't even have basic necessities in others.
Right. Well, thank you so much for explaining that to us in detail. We are going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back with more. Welcome back to Insights. I am here with Dr. John Van Wagener, the Superintendent of Alpena Public Schools. Thanks again for being here with us. So we talked about quite a bit already relating to the district and funding, but let's just really quickly go back to the bond proposal that did not pass. Let's just talk about how that has affected the district and has affected the students as well.
Well, you know, it was a difficult, you know, situation, but you know, we've also, you know, learned a lot from it, and, you know, talking to people on what their expectations are, and so we feel like, you know, we understand that we got to stretch every penny and do what we can with what we have, be very frugal, but at the same point, our issues, a lot of them aren't going away. The roofs aren't getting any newer. The boilers are aging just as rapidly. And so we have these basic needs that we really have to look at. Are there, you know, what other opportunities out there for funding? But as well as our board members and others going back and talking to the community about, you know, understanding these are those issues and what are they willing to support. So over the next month especially, we'll be going out, having more conversations, learning about, what is it that are the absolute priorities that people have, and what are some ways for us to look at possibly funding those, possibly coming back to the voters with something that they feel is more feasible. I think that was loud and clear, that especially for a lot of our seniors that are on fixed incomes, that it was a very big ask. And so we're just going back and analyzing again, are there other opportunities out there? Are there any grants out there that we just haven't seen, and to be able to take advantage of, to partner with maybe a smaller amount of an ask? Where are we at with refinancing, of our bonds? We think that we've exhausted all that, but again, just not leaving any stone unturned on what we can do, and stretching everything out as long as we can. And hopefully we don't have any type of situation where a roof does fall in or a boiler just won't work anymore, and we get an emergency type situation. I know in a couple of buildings we are close to that, and as winter's coming up, we're going through the boilers right now and starting to fire them up and see if we have issues and fix what we can. But we have a situation at one of our elementaries where we lost power to half of the building because an underground line just deteriorated. When you get things that are 50, 60 years old at a certain point, they're long beyond their lifespan. So again, that's stretching into the dollars that we have just to be able to buy books and pencils and paper, and those kind of basic needs when we have to replace an electrical line on an emergency at midnight or 1 in the morning. And so we're continuing to assess that, continuing to have conversation. Our board is getting a lot of feedback from different people, and just we'll take the next month especially, and we really as a board haven't talked a lot about what next steps are. I think we wanted to try and learn, what is it where we went wrong, what is it that we didn't communicate well, and what are the things that the taxpayers, if they can't feel they can pay that amount, what is it maybe that they feel they can. And so we're going to continue to have those conversations, but as well continue to stretch every dollar for maintenance and do the very best we can and be as frugal as we can with the taxpayers' money.
Have you gotten any feedback so far from taxpayers who said, hey, maybe this wasn't feasible, but here are some other things that maybe we will be willing to do?
We have, but I think, again, we want to give it more time. We don't want to just jump in anything, right now. Like there's obviously the November election. There are school districts out there in the state that are looking at that. Our board wanted to sit and just take more time. We didn't want to sit and assume, and we wanted to give time to make sure that they could hear citizens, and we could go out and talk to the seniors and talk to people that just had things. And there are some people that we've heard that didn't hear about it. We've seen things, well, they didn't see exactly what was going to be done. We had some that said it was just too much for us, with all the other things that we have right now we're paying in taxes. And so we're listening to all that, and again, looking for other opportunities for funding. Is there something else on there that can lessen the burden on our taxpayers? Is there something from the state we can get, can help? But unfortunately, with the budget and the governor's vetoes at this point, we're hopeful that the governor and the Republican legislature come together and get away from the political bickering and sit down at the table and come up with a deal that maybe helps restore a little funding that we lost from the vetoes that just happened on October 1st. That right there could buy, a couple of buses for us if we could get that funding reestablished. And so we're going to continue to talk to anybody and everybody. And again, I can't stress enough, there's anybody out there willing to make a donation. We are more than happy to accept that. No amount's too small. If you want to put that towards a roof being fixed or a boiler or some keypads for security so doors just aren't easily opened, we'll take every dollar we can. And again, we get a lot from people already for donations for, hygiene products and for textbooks and supplies. So we're thankful for those, and we'll continue to take those, and we'll make sure that people get acknowledged and that our board recognizes, and just, I can't stress how much we appreciate any amount that anybody can give to help us to try and have better, opportunities and facilities for our students.
And for those people who do want to donate, what is the best method of action?
They can call our office at 989-358-5040. Or they can go to alpinaschools.com, and we actually have a spot where you can donate right there. You can use a debit or a credit card even. So anyway, they want to try and do that. We have opportunities. Just give us a call, send us an email, get on our website. We'll be happy to look at anything and just try to supply the basic needs and above and beyond, extra things that really make it special for our kids. And again, we get a great amount of people that do donate what they can, and we're appreciative of that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much again for being here. Hopefully we can start to get some of those things resolved as we get this information out to community members. Thanks again, Dr. Van Wagner, and thank you for watching another Insights.
Insights into Northeast Michigan is produced by WBKB News. If you have any comments, suggestions, or topics you would like to see on a future show, please email WBKB News. This has been a production of Thunder Bay Broadcasting Corporation. All rights reserved.